Rick Bozich also joining us from WDRB.com, Hall of Fame writer. Rick, how's your week going, man?
Going good, guys. It's going good.
What Hall of Fame are you in, Rick?
I'm not
Basketball Writers Hall of Fame.
Basketball Writers Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
He's the Basketball Writers Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
I'm gonna get into like the Sidebar Hall of Fame in Camden, New Jersey, or something. That's my goal.
Sidebars are underrated, man.
They are, man. Man,
hey,
you can't have a good section without sidebars.
Backdoor bars. There's a lot of backdoor bars around too. Those are the easy ones to get in. But last night in baseball, Rick, did you stay up to watch that Red Sox game? I turned it over in the seventh inning, and before I could turn it back, I'm like, are you kidding me? I missed a 9-run ninth inning. I missed all of that.
So did I. What happened?
Oh,
they scored 9 runs in the ninth. Houston did.
The Astros benefited from a blown ball strike call that should have been strike 3, and instead of being out, the inning continued, and they went on and scored 9 runs or whatever it was and beat the Red Sox, right?
Yep. The umpire, they showed the stat chart. He missed 21 ball strike calls in that game.
Yeah.
21.
I hope he had security going back to his hotel in Boston last night.
He's missed more than any umpire in the playoffs.
More than Hernandez?
Yes. More than anyone. He leads everybody. Yes. And is that you talk about that? See, the other night with that check swing on whoever game that was that ended the game, that's not to me as a big a deal. It wasn't a check swing. That happens. But
Giants, Dodgers.
Yeah, wow. And they did all that with 2 outs, Bob. They had 2 outs and scored 9 runs.
Outs.
Yeah,
oh
that's
my
nuts,
gosh.
Man. So that series is tied 2-2. So be fun.
I can't root for either team. The Houston's a bunch of cheaters. Boston's led by the guy who was a cheater, and Boston is located in Boston. I can't root for him. I have no rooting interest in this series.
Well, then you can go against them.
Sure,
I guess
they both can't lose.
But no, that's I guess you got to the Braves. Just got to pray for the home and the Braves, right? They're the only team that doesn't.
Oh, I'm not rooting for them either because they got that racist tomahawk chop going. I thought that was gone a long time ago.
And then you got the Dodgers. Then you're down to the Dodgers.
Okay, I'm rooting for the Dodgers. Fine.
Got the.
You're wearing Dodger blue.
I am wearing Dodger blue because it's clean.
There you go. Hey, Derrick Jackson's in with us again as well, from a former 4-year player for Bill Mallory at Indiana, of course. He's been sitting in with us all day. He brought the energy today, man. He's Mr. Caffeinated.
Man,
this is Rick Bozich. And
you got to get energetic, man, when it comes to sports and how the Hoosiers are doing in baseball and basketball. I mean, everything is just phenomenal.
And speaking of that, football this week, guys, the Ohio State Buckeyes come to Bloomington. Of course, the sold-out game and all that. ABC 7:30 night game under the lights. But man, it's hard to look into that game and thinking what Indiana's going to do.
Or they got scoring touchdowns.
That's the thing. They've scored 1 against 3 Big Ten opponents, and there's what makes anyone. I just can't figure out how anyone would think they're going to do better against Ohio State. But they've got to change things up, in my opinion, on the offense. I've said this today. You've got to bring Donovan McCulley in to start running more plays, maybe Wildcat. I don't know. They've got to do something different. They're not getting out. There's no bubble screens, no flare passes, no quick passes. There's so many things I think they could do offensively. Up tempo. I don't go up tempo because that keeps defenses on heels. Try to find an advantage in some way, and it's like they just keep doing the same thing, and that's not going to win. It hadn't won so far.
But I don't think you can make that kind of a change in the middle of the season to go up tempo. That takes a whole spring and everything.
Practice.
They got to come up with some smaller tweaks. And I'll just ask Derrick, as a football guy, when you watch them play on offense, is it personnel? Is it scheme? Is it lost confidence from the schedule? What are you seeing?
I see we just need a little bit more. Jack needs to get a little bit more confidence. He needs to make better reads. We had a couple of plays called. If you noticed, I don't know if you were at the game, but I think during the third quarter, we had a 2 tight end set, and they were running 2 underneath routes. And Michigan State was in zone. Okay, so you got a linebacker, man. It's going to be sitting there just waiting for you to throw the ball, across the middle. And lo and behold, that's what he did when he had a running back out there in the flat that he could have tossed. Running back had nothing but green grass in front of him. He didn't make that read. And that's one play I know right there that we could have turned this whole football game around. Our receiving corps has to do better with catching the football. So before everyone goes chopping Nick Sheridan's head off and talking about the play calling, I mean, we've got to, on Saturday, the coach can't be on the field with you. You've got to make those reads. I got all the confidence in the world in Jack Tiller. Don't get me wrong, but the guy came in a big game, much like he did last year. So the guy's going to make some mistakes, especially if he's not getting those reps against big opponents, like he had been because Mike Penix was in. Now Penix is gone. Donovan McCullers, the number 2 man up. He's got to be ready. So I just think it's more of, the players, too, getting a little bit more confidence in themselves. And, giving Nick Sheridan, this is Nick Sheridan's opportunity to show that, listen, hey, I'm the coach. I'm the OC. We can handle this week.
Interesting. Bob? No, hey, you ought to have a podcast, Derrick.
Oh, he's a part of the show, man. That's why he's on it. He's bringing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I was on the road during the IU game, but I caught bits and pieces of it, and it was painful, man. It was just painful. You think back to last year and putting up 490 something yards in the air against Ohio State, and this is just inept. And it's sad because they're playing good defense. I mean, they give up 15 or whatever, or 20 to Michigan State, and I think one of them was a pick 6. So that's tough to swallow.
Yeah, it's tough pill to swallow. Defensively, we've got to give our offense an opportunity. We've got our defense. They need a break. I mean, you can't. Pretty soon you're going to have the wrong guys. No one deserves to get injured in a game. But our defense is our mainstay right now. We certainly don't want to keep these guys on the field so much until somebody gets hurt. And now we're suffering defensively. So offensively, the challenge this week is to step up and put I'm points on the board. That's what I need to see this week from you guys. Points on the board. Red zone. Every 100%, those coaches put out those grades. We need to see 100% scoring in the red zone. And I'm not just talking about field goals. I'm talking about we need to come away with 7 each time we're in the red zone against Ohio State. We're at home, no excuse. We went up there last year, and they had us about, 28 points at half, and we came back. This week, Hoosiers, we need to see points on the board, and I got confidence in you that you will put those points on the board.
I'm motivated
Tom
now.
Allen prototype, man. There you go. I told him, I said, somebody get a helmet and pads for this man. Here's a question I asked earlier, and I asked Rick and Bob. I think that Tom Allen has done things that nobody else – he's done it differently and done it in a way that no one else has and no one expected, but it has not had that sustained success yet. And part of that, I think, is because he hires too much off of loyalty instead of the absolute best person for the position. I think that's happened a couple of times. I understand he has a lot of what he's done has worked, but some of it has not. And I think that has been a crucial point. And right now, to be honest with you, I think that is one of the reasons why they are where they are right now.
You're talking about possibly Nick Sheridan and Darren Hillard and those guys. Those are the ones.
Yes, sir.
People he's the offensive line coach. People are under the most criticism. Because
Nick Sheridan he studied under Mike DeBoer.
Yeah, but he was there 1 year under Kalen DeBoer, and didn't Kalen DeBoer give him his stamp of approval?
Yeah, but what's he going to? He's not going to say no, though.
Right.
He's not going to say, "I can't hire this guy."
This is year 3, and at the end of the year, if this year ends up being a 4-8 season, and the offense continues at this pace, where it's a monumental achievement for them to get a touchdown in the Big Ten, you have to reassess every part of your program and decide how you're going to get better. It's just as a coach, you're not doing your job if you don't do that. But I also think they have to get better personnel on the offensive line. When I watch them play, they're not getting a push on the offensive line to create any kind of opportunity for Carr or the other backs that they're left with to really be productive. I mean, they're losing the line of scrimmage, and I don't care who's called. I mean, the play caller has to make some adjustments because of that and say, what can we do to try and mask or cover up this weakness? But to me, that's a number one focus is what are they doing wrong in recruiting offensive linemen? What are they doing wrong in developing them? Because, you know, under Kevin Wilson, when Greg Fry was there, they had Feeney and Spriggs and those guys. They had some dudes and they could run the ball with Kevin Coleman and Jordan Howard and these guys, and that's not happening now.
Not even close. Right. And it's and that's what I'm saying. If they just had an average offense, I think Iowa has a pretty good, just maybe a little bit better than average, but a little bit better than average offense. They've got a really good defense, although it didn't show up last week in Iowa City. That was a shocker. How about that one, Bob? I'm sure.
And that's another one that I think another one that's the Indiana fan base is talking about. Of Iowa looked like the world's greatest team against Indiana, and Purdue went in there and crushed them.
Yep, they did. Yeah.
And it's amazing. And the Cincinnati game, the Michigan State game, both games that they could have easily won if they just had a little semblance of offense. They score a touchdown here and turn that momentum around. Don't throw that pick. It just changes. I don't. There's no way that Cincinnati's the second best team in the country, but they've managed to get there.
And there's no way Michigan State's a top 10 team.
They're not. They're not a top 10 team, man. There's no way. And I agree with you, Rick. You know, the game is won in the trenches. So we need to assess, you know, like you said, our personnel, you know, and our coaching philosophies and you know, our schemes, and we have to try to cover up some of our weaknesses. But then again, my problem is that we've had opportunity in the red zone, and there were several opportunities where this could have turned around. Now that same offensive line that's a little porous got us to that red zone. Okay, so they got us there. So now we got to punch it in. And so now we've got to call the right plays to punch it in. You see? And again, offensive line, but you know, your personnel. So I think these guys need to have a little bit more confidence. You know, they get excited or they get a little nervous about, you know, the rankings and you know, in the media coverage. You want to have that, guys. Confidence in yourself. We can win this game. I'm confident that people may say, man, you're crazy. You only scored 2 touchdowns. Man, no, we can win this football game. Because our defense is going to hold Ohio State. Ohio State's not going to score the points that they scored against Indiana with this Indiana defense, in my opinion. That's just how I feel about our defense.
The one thing that the defense has not done this year, guys, is turn people over and get their own scores off that. They were so good at that last year, led the Big Ten in interceptions and turnovers. And Iowa was doing that with their defense, and that's what was helping them. They didn't get to do that against Purdue, but Indiana's defense has been great, but they have not, or good, really good, but they have not done that. They're not turning people over and getting the ball back enough. But I don't know how good it would do when they do, but yeah, it's just shocking to see this late in the season, this offense still just sputtering. Bob, it's by now you've got to kind of kick it into gear, but now you're in a situation, you've got a different quarterback in, and you've got a guy at your number 2 spot who you're going to use in Donovan McCulley. And I don't know what they'll do with him in changes. Like you said, Rick, it's hard to make changes mid-season, but they've got to do something. They've got to add something to the offense.
Oh, absolutely. I'm kind of interested to see what McCulley brings. You know, how they utilize him. You know, one thing that as you guys are talking, it occurred to me, and somebody brought this up to me, and it struck me that, you know, I think we all like Tom Allen a lot. I like Tom Allen a lot. I think he's the right guy for the job. He hasn't beaten a team with a better than 500 record yet.
Not one?
Oh, you mean this year?
No, last year. How about last year? You think about the miracle season or whatever you want to call it. Didn't beat one team. Now, granted, it's not very often that Penn State's going to open the season. What were they, 0-4 or whatever it was, or
0-5?
0-5. excuse my poor John that keeps hitting the cough button on me. I feel terrible about that.
You're good.
But they, they got a lot of programs when they were really down last year. And look, I'm not diminishing what they accomplished. I'm just saying they haven't beaten. I don't believe you can double check this. I don't believe they've beaten a team with a better than 500 record under Tom Allen. I mean,
That's
like a mage team. Yeah. If I'm wrong, just let me know.
Well, don't worry.
But I think that's
don't worry. They
You'll
will.
be
Don't worry. They will.
We'll have you run the steps at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, well, CPR.
My question would be, and this would be for Derrick, when you're on a team, though, you got a defensive and offensive unit, and the defense is playing winning football. You could say just on defensive level, Indiana's defense is playing at a level where they should be. What they're 2-4, so they should be maybe 4-2, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair to say. But the offense isn't. The offense is playing, 1-5, even though they're 2-4.
Yeah.
At what is there ever a point in the locker room where it becomes an issue, where defensive guys become frustrated or angry that the offensive guys aren't producing?
Well, of course. I mean, and that's on the leadership within the team. Not the coach's leadership. Jack Tuttle has got to, and Donovan McCullough even, has got to say, hey, listen, guys, defense is doing a fantastic job. Okay, guys, we've got to, stick to our guns, and we've got to also do the same thing. These guys are going there, 3 and out, holding these guys to under, 10 points or whatever the case may be. Guys, we've got to do our job, and I think it's going to take the team leadership to step up and say, listen, man, we've got to do a better job than what we do. When we get in the red zone, we've got to, whatever play is called. The players can't do anything about whatever play is called. Okay, it's not pro football. They can't change the plays. So what Donovan McCullough, whoever's in there, is going to have to do is say, listen, man, this is the play that's called. Guys, I need you to do your job. Is get this thing in the end zone. That's basically what it's going to take, man, right now.
I've watched enough football for enough years to know you ain't got an offensive line, you ain't got nothing.
Right.
No, you're right about that. That's
the
true.
problem.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You can't move the football.
Nope.
And I think this has been a perfect storm. I mean, all 4 teams they've lost are ranked in the top 10.
Yeah, sure.
They've helped contribute to it by scheduling Cincinnati, but the Big Ten has scheduled them into this hole where if they would have maybe played Minnesota or Rutgers or Maryland here in the first part of the season, we'd be looking at it a little bit differently. Nobody else in the country. I mean, I looked at the Sagarin ratings. Indiana's played the hardest schedule in the country.